Okay, today we're going to be learning on evaluating variable expression involving rational numbers. Now, what variable expressions are expressions or mathematical statements without equal sign that contains an unknown number which is represented by a variable. So, let's look at this expression. Evaluate the expression for x equals negative 3, y equals negative 3, and z equals negative 1.2. So we need to evaluate this expression here. So when we evaluate this kind of expression, we want to take the value x, y, and z. In this case, that y is negative 3, and so is x. Z is equal to negative 1.2. So we can take each value that we're given and substitute it into the expression. This is what we call the substitution property. Once you do this, we can simplify negative 3 times negative 3, which is 9, and 9 times 1, negative 1.2, which is negative 10.8. And then when we multiply a negative number by a negative number, it's going to result to a positive number. In this case, 24.84. Now let's evaluate this expression for f equals 5.7 and g equals negative 5. Let's make it bigger. So this is the expression. For the values here, it's going to be equal to 5.7 and negative 5. Now what does this mean here? We said that fg plus f equals f times g plus 1. Because each term has at least one f, we can take the f and then we can just divide it by each term. In this case, we got f times g plus 1. Because when we divide f, which is in both terms, by each one, so fg divided by f is just g, and f divided by f is 1. And that goes here, the simplified term, and the f goes out here. We're going to focus more on this later on. Now, plug in 5.7 and negative 5 for the expression, we can easily tell that this, here in the parentheses by PEMDAS, is going to be equal to negative 4, and 5.7 times negative 4 is equal to negative 22.8. Evaluate the expression for v equals negative 6, w equals 3, and x equals negative 3. Simplify your answer. So you have this expression. First of all, we already know the values of the expression. We know that v is going to be negative 6, w is going to be 3, and x is going to be negative 3. We simply can just plug it into this expression. We know that this can be written as all this, but with the plus 6. Why? Because this is literally just saying that negative times negative is positive, and negative times negative is positive. Next, negative 3 times negative 3 is negative 9, and negative 6 times negative 9 is 54. Negative 6 plus 3 is equal to negative 3. And 54 plus 6 is 60. 60 divided by negative 3 is negative 20. Evaluate the expression for s equals 7, t equals negative 13, and simplify your answer. Now this one looks extremely easy. We'll just plug in the values. S is 7, and t is negative 13. So we highlight those in blue and red. Now let's make this even more easier. This looks too complicated. The negative looks a little too complicated, and the positive and the negative looks a little too complicated. First, let's just do 7 times negative 3, which we get negative 91. And now we can simplify this. Well, subtracting a negative minus a negative is equal to the same thing, just positive. Just using basic addition subtraction rules, you can get this. Or you can plop this in your calculator, so get the same expression. Negative 91 plus 13 is negative 78, and 7 minus 13 is negative 6. Negative 78 divided by negative 6, 13. This is more like an enrichment part of the lesson, because this is slope. And slope is how steep is the line is. You subtract the y coordinates by the x coordinates. They're going to call s the slope of the line. We can take the ratio of the y coordinates by the x coordinates. Now, why does it look weird? Because it's individually subtracting the y coordinates by the x coordinates. Now let's look at this slope. Let's look at this here. The slope of the coordinates 2, negative 3, and 1, 5. First, let's spell out the slope formula. We know that if we take the second y coordinate, which is 5, and the first y coordinate, which is negative 3, and subtract them. And we can take the second x coordinate, 1, and the first x coordinate, 2. Then we can just plug in chuck. once we just do that, we can just simplify this expression just like we simplify any other expression. 5 minus negative 3 is equal to 8, and 2 minus 1, which is 1, which is it's just 8. All right, this is 7 problems. Very hard problems. I don't have time to the answer, but there's going to be some questions like 4, which are going to have multiple solutions actually. These involve more critical thinking based, right? And yeah, just in case. If you do have the answer, or if you need stuck, or if there's a problem with these answers, or not the answers, but with the problem itself, you let me know.